Thanks for stopping by at the eCave. This is episode 3 on my adventure to restore an IBM PC 5150. So if you're interested in that, why not step inside and see what's happening today? Well, thanks for staying and having a look. In the last episode, we encountered a number of issues and ended up with 2 shorted tantalum capacitors on the diskette drives. It's now time to continue and put the drives to good use. I've attached them back to the PC and it's time to fire it up again. In the meantime, I've also done some cleaning of the chassis, the front and the cover. So I'll give you an insight into how that went towards the end. Hopefully this PC will come to life again, but we'll just have to wait and see. So let's get started. I've now fixed the 2 diskette drives, i.e. replaced a couple of dead tantalum capacitors. I'll show you where. I'll grab the camera and move it so we can see. I replaced this one on the A drive. It was completely shorted. I did replace the same one on the B drive. However, the one on the B drive that was shorted was actually this one here at the back. They're both on the plus B12 line. So let me get this ready again and we'll see what happens. I've got the hardware maintenance service manual, and at the back of that I've got all the diskettes, the Advanced Diagnostics. I've made some copies and obviously have a scratch diskette as well. So I'll put the Advanced Diagnostic diskette in drive A. And then let's power it on and see what happens. That's the MDA adapter failure. Now, while I remember, I've also replaced the monitor. As you saw in the previous episode, it was collapsing the raster. I'll show you here. Yep. But this monitor is a bit better. I have 4 of these. I obviously have to fix them all, but okay. We have the Advanced Diagnostics loaded, so let's do a system checkout. I need to enter 0 for that. It takes a while, so I'll cut out the bits in the middle. It's a few minutes later and it finally came up. It's asking about the installed options and they're all correct. We have of course the system board, 256K memory, keyboard, monochrome and printer adapter and 2 diskette drives. So we can say yes to that. System checkout. Run tests 1 time, yes. Select options. I'll do the system board first. Oh, it's happy with the system board. I'll do it again, and this time we'll do the memory. The memory will take a bit longer because it's testing all the 256 kilobytes. So I'll cut out some of that. Yes, I'm not standing by, I'm just sitting here. So I'll run faster through this. Okay, it finished. All good. So let's turn our attention to the MDA and test that. That's option number 4. I'm interested to see if I get a failure on that or something else. Okay, display adapter test. I think that's the first to run. I'll try that. All right, that fails. However, I wonder if the other tests do run, so let's try that again. We'll run all of the above tests, 10. Okay, enter to continue. All right, it just fails on the first test. I'll run them individually. We'll do display attributes first. That's correct. We'll do the character set. Okay, that doesn't look too good. The bottom line isn't healthy. We'll say it's correct. 3. Yeah, you can see there's something wrong with the video RAM on this card. We're not going to do any printer adapter tests because I don't have a printer. Well, we'll run the adapter test again. It will fail. We can go back to the main menu. Let's test the diskette drive. First of all, let me see. That's number 6. The sequential access random seq verify diskette speed test. Let's run speed test on diskette A, 4, A. Now it wants to scratch diskette. We'll put that in. And off we go. Well, the speed seems to be reasonable on this diskette drive. It's sort of in the middle according to this test, which is good. Let's try the B drive. So we do the same thing again. Instead of saying 4, A, we say 4, B. It probably wants to scratch diskette in there as well. So I'll put it in there. Yeah. And, well, it's not, there's something wrong with the B drive. Do I smell something or is something hot? I'll check. Oh, the driver transistor for the motor is very hot. So let's stop this. I think there's something wrong with that B drive. But obviously the MDA card is faulty. The video RAM is faulty on it. There are 8 SRAM chips on it, and I'm guessing 1 or 2 of those are faulty. I'm not giving up on it because I've ordered some SRAM chips, and I can hopefully diagnose which ones and replace it. But I'm interested in the B drive to see if I can fix that. But before I do that, I'll replace the MDA card. I found another monochrome display adapter card in my ISA card stash, and I'll be able to put that card in, and we'll test that as well, and we'll fire it up again on the advanced diagnostics and see what happens. Well, I'm back again. I've gone through my ISA card stock, and I've now found another monochrome graphics adapter card, which is this one here. Let me show you. It's a Taxon MDA, but functionally equivalent to the other one. So let's run some diagnostics on that. Replace this MDA and put that one in. Hook it up. And let's fire it up and see if that is giving us beeps. Ah, the sound of silence. No more beeps. So we now know that the MDA card is definitely faulty. But let's run diagnostics against this one just to be safe. So I'll do a system checkout again. And you can see here's the MDA card. These are the 8 SRAM memory chips that consists of the video RAM. There's something not right with those, obviously. I'll see how this goes. I'll skip through this. All right, we're up and running. It's the same as before. Everything's fine. It's detected all the things. We'll run it once. We know the system board was fine. The memory was fine. I'm not testing the keyboard yet because I think there's something wrong with it. But 4, the monochrome adapter. And let's just say 10, run all about test on it. Yep, it passes. Yeah, oh, so the bottom line is supposed to be like that. Well, the character set is supposed to look like this, not like the other one. I'll show you for comparison. We don't want to do a printer test. All good. So the next thing I want to do is to put in the Supersoft diagnostic ROM. So pull out the BIOS and put in the Supersoft diagnostic ROM and use that to test the MDA and see if something more intelligent comes out of it. So let's try that. I'll do it first on the Taxon card, and then I'll put the MDA and we'll see what happens. Well, I'm here ready to fire it up with the Supersoft diagnostic ROM. I'll show you, I've put it in U33, as you can see down there. The diagnostic diskette is in floppy drive A, And as you saw previously, the floppy drive B doesn't work, but anyway, it's time to fire it up and see what happens. Oh, something's happened. Don't tell me the tantalums on the floppy drives are gone again. I didn't replace them all. Let me disconnect them and try again. Okay. No. Oh no. This time it's the motherboard. I'll have to replace some tantalums on the motherboard. Well, things happen. Let's put a motherboard on the workbench and see what has transpired. I guess a tantalum on a 12-volt line has gone, but let's find out. Well, I'm back at the workbench with my motherboard, checking for shorts. As I did in the first episode, I'm going to check for shorts following the procedure in the MAPS, or maintenance analysis procedure. For ease of use, I've actually added the voltages or the voltage rails we are actually checking. So we know which voltage rail is causing the problem here. Now the first one is common lead on 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is this one here. Yep, my meter is working. And the ohm on number 3, 1, 2, 3. So that is the plus 12 volts, and yep, that seems to be fine. Next we do common lead on 6, which is this one, and the ohm lead on number 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Oh well, I think we found our short. This is the minus 12 volts. But let's double check the others just in case. It's known that even if the minus 12 volt tantalum goes, some of the others could go at the same time. But anyway, next is common on 7. And we then check on 9. That's the 7, 8, 9. That's the minus 5 volts. That's all good. And then we have number 8, and the last 3, 10, 11, 12 would be the plus 5 volts. Yep, that's fine. The plus 5 volts are fine. So what we have here is the minus 12 volt rail, which is shorted. And thankfully there's only one capacitor, one tantalum on this board which services or filters the minus 12 volt. That's actually this guy here. There's also only one that services the plus 12 volts, which is this one here. So these two actually need to go. The 12 volts being a higher voltage tends to blow those out with age. Now the plus 12 volts and the minus 12 volts are not actually used on this motherboard. They are simply connected to the ISA bus to service ISA extension cards. The minus 12 and plus 12 are not used on the board. The only voltage rails used on this board are the plus 5 volts and minus 5, which is used for the cassette interface. The rest is all plus 5. So I'll have to heat up my soldering iron, get this one out, and I'll do this one as well, and then we can try again. Well, that was fun, blowing up the motherboard. I've fixed the motherboard and replaced the two capacitors. I'll show you. Let me see. That was the minus, I hope you can see that. That was a minus 12 volt capacitor, which I've replaced. And this one here is the plus 12 volts. So I replaced that. And I forgot to show you, I've got the Supersoft Diagnostic ROM down there. As you can see, it's in a special socket because the ROM has more legs than the actual socket. So, wow, that was a surprise. While filming, everything went dark suddenly because we lost power for about half an hour. The whole little village I live in became powerless. Anyway, we're back up again, and I'd shown you the Supersoft ROM. So I've got the Taxon MDA in there, and it's time to power it up. And hopefully another power interruption won't occur. So let's see what happens. Oh, it's nice not having to hear these beeps. It's doing the memory refresh test. I'm only interested in the MDA. There's the MDA, and that passed. So that's good enough. Let's stop it and swap the MDA with the IBM one, so we can get some comparison. I don't know what the Supersoft Diags will show if the memory fails on the MDA adapter, but I guess we will find out. Here we go. Memory refresh again, and then we will test the MDA shortly after. I was hoping it would call out some modules. Okay, you can see it's saying memory error at address B0001, failing bits 7. All right. So it's actually calling out the failing chip. Now I just have to work out which chip is bit 7. So I'll put it aside for now because I don't have a replacement for it until it comes in the post. But I'll be using the other one until then. So I'll turn it off now and we'll focus on the B drive and see if we can get that up and running. I've taken the diskette drive to my workbench to have a look at it, and as it pans out, it is heating up a bit. I've used my thermal imaging camera to verify that. The motor does run, but everything on there runs very hot. So what I'll do, I'll show you how slow it is. I won't do it for very long. I've got my power supply here set to 12 volts, and I currently limited it to 1.5 amps. And I've got a Digitech tachometer, which I'm pointing at the spindle, and I can show you the speed But I won't run it for very long because the thing gets pretty hot. The reason I'm doing this is because I didn't want to hook it up to the PC and tinker with it. What I do is I simply disconnect the connector there, number 20, and I put 12 volts into it, and as soon as I do that, the motor starts running. And I've got a diskette in there, of course. So let me see. Okay, you can see now how slow it goes, and I'll put this on, and it's going around 133 RPMs, 120, 100, oh, it gets lower all the time. It's supposed to be 300. I'll stop it now. So there's something wrong. I'll take this away. One of the things that I benefit from is I have another spare drive which I could measure and compare. So I could measure the output transistor and this little control transistor. And as far as I can see, all the components seem to be fine. And then I was measuring the motor windings. And guess what? The motor windings are pretty short. So I'll show you. The motor windings are on 21. I'm a bit of a hoarder for diagrams, so I'll put it up here. I hope you can see that. So I'll turn this a bit. So the yellow and green, they're the tach coming from the motor, but it's the red and blue which are the motor. And red and blue, as you can see, is this one. Well, it's not red and blue, but it's blue and brown. Let me see, it's a bit hard to get to this. I'll do it on this side. It's shorted. And if I disconnect this, and we measure here directly on the connector, which is this one, and that one. We get a short across the motor. Now, how do I know that? Well, I do have a comparison on the other drive here. I'm trying to put it here so you can also see it. Here the connector's blue and red. So let's measure that. And it says OL. If we go here. Let me see, maybe it's easier to do it from this side. Yeah, it's 0.3, it's about 236 ohms. Whereas the other one, this one here, probably blocking everything. Anyway, put this one here and that one there. You can see it's 0.07 ohms, so the motor is short. What to do about that? That's a good question. I'll see if I can take it out and find out if it can be replaced or disassembled, and fixed. If I can do that, I'll show you. Otherwise, that drive has to be parked for now. So we know that it's short. I'll use the spare drive, which means I have to clean it up and get it ready as well. So I have 2 drives in the PC. So now you know, another adventure. Here we have the cover, the front and the chassis before I began the cleaning. You can see the front has some black streaks on the edges and the chassis is pretty dusty. I of course decided to put it into a warm soapy bath to begin with. Now here's the front with all the black streaks on the edges before I got them away. It's amazing how much dirt came off the cover just using soap and a bit of elbow grease. I then used the compressor to blow all the dust out of the chassis. Thankfully it's not rusted. And then I'll use the pad and the soapy water to do the same as with the cover. And then I just sprayed it all with cold water. Now, I think the chassis came out pretty good. I also did some polishing of the power supply as well, but definitely the chassis came good. The front cover I cleaned up and used bicarb soda and water to get rid of those black streaks, and then I sprayed it with some interior carb cleaner. The cover I did the same, bicarb soda with water, but I also occasionally use methyl with the bicarbs, and here's the before and after. Not too bad. Well, I'm stopping this episode here. I think the cleaning came up pretty good. The chassis, the front and the cover don't look too bad. The cover obviously could do with some powder coating, so I'll look into that. I'll probably clean up the spare drive I have, but with the motor gone on the other one, I'm not sure how I can proceed. If you have any idea where you can source these DC 12-volt motors, that would be fantastic. I'll show you some photos of it. I actually took it out and took it apart. And if I measure across the commuters on the motor itself, then it's all shorted. Now, in the next episode, I'll be looking at expanding the memory and making sure the spare diskette drive is working, because I did find some memory expansion cards in my secret ISA card stash, so I'll put that into the PC. And of course the monitor will require some TLC. I don't know if I have to have a separate episode on that, but we'll see. Until then, thanks for stepping into the eCave.